Sura 24/7. My name is Niharika Valia Bhatnagar, and I'm with you with the era of AFM. And what are we talking about? Everyone, we are reaching the last leg of this particular series where I had been covering the entire book of AFM based upon the Macmillan. So, till now, we're done with the module A, module B, module C, and I am on the second last chapter of module D as well. Once we're done with the entire module, then we'll do a little revision as well of the same. So, what is it that we're going to deal with today? Before I proceed forward, everyone, please go ahead and like this particular session. If you find the entire sessions helpful for yourself, na, then please do this particular part because na, sometimes we actually have extremely tiring days, a lot of work to do, but we are there on the YouTube because you are a source of motivation for us. So, your motivation and your recognition is something that boosts us forward towards looking forward toward more and more material, right? So, before I proceed further, please go ahead and like this particular session and share it among your peers as well. Share it on WhatsApp, on Telegram, or Facebook, or Instagram, wherever you feel that way, right? Okay, we start with marginal costing in the last class. Marginal costing means what? Marginal means variable. Matlab, we're not looking at the fixed cost. Everyone, um okay, I pay the rent of a particular factory. That is not going to affect me. That's not attractive. The part which is actually attractive or something which is going to affect my decision making is the uh it would be the regular price. Matlab, the cost related to the material, labor, overhead, all those things will affect my organization. What will not affect my organization is only one thing. That is the fixed cost. I am already paying rent. How would it matter to me at all? That is not relevant cost even. The costing which will determine whether I should go for the particular thing or not is marginal costing, because the cost which would vary because of my production, because of the work that we are doing, it will affect the organization working altogether. So that is module D, marginal costing. Acha, this is marginal, everyone. Okay. वैसे तो I was feeling कि I hope to discuss the particular formulas, but if I start discussing the formulas in the beginning only na, the questions are based upon those formulas only. So what I'll do is with the formulas, I'll also explain the particular part of it as well. Okay. So let's continue, everyone. Which of the one of the following is not the same as marginal costing? Direct costing, number one. Then we have absorption costing, variable costing, or differential costing. Everyone, what's the answer to this? Which one is not the same as marginal costing? Direct costing is actually the costing which is related to this area, so that cannot be the answer. Then we have variable costing, marginal and variable are same. Differential costing, every time I make more production, then the cost will also differ. That is differential. Absorption is the one which is not related to this. Absorption is actual cost, and we are determining and allocating the cost according to the activities. This is actually a primitive method. Now we have ABC costing, activity based costing. It's called activity based costing. Okay, now comes the era of PV ratio, everyone. What do you mean by PV ratio? PV ratio is one of the most important ratios. This is actually called profit volume ratio. So is it contrary to sales? The contribution to sales, price to volume, profit to volume, or price to cost? Based upon this answer, I'll be telling you about the entire formula and everything else as well. Huh? First of all, look at this. Before I proceed with the answer, we have something called sales. We remove only the variable cost out of it. We will get contribution. Then we remove fixed cost out of it. That gives us contra minus fixed cost will give us profit. Then when we talk about PV ratio, PV is sales minus variable cost divided by sales. So can we say this is cost price divided by selling price? The answer is contrary to sales. Done? This is the method. Next question, everyone. Which one of the following statements is not correct regarding the break-even analysis? I was just about to actually tell you about the break-even, but I thought let's wait for that point. Acha. We have talked about this in previous class as well, everyone. Let's understand what do you mean by the term break-even point. And I'm trying to understand the particular break-even point. It looks like this. This is your y-axis. This is your x-axis. Okay. In this case, what's exactly happening is when the company starts producing, the variable cost will start from zero. If I'm not producing, there is no electricity being used. If I'm not producing, there is no material being bought, nothing. No. So variable cost starts from zero. But even if I'm not producing, I still have to pay the rent. It's a fixed cost. Variable cost and fixed cost is defined. When you add it up, it goes up to an amount of total cost, which is basically variable cost plus the fixed cost. Okay, this is my total cost. This is going to affect me for sure. Then we understand about a specific term called revenue. The total revenue will start from zero, and in terms of the zero, we will start from here and we will go upwards. Okay, so we were talking about this specific area of revenue. Revenue starts from zero. At one point of time, I'm trying to earn and going upwards. In this case, what's happening is we start earning from zero. Here, the cost in this case, the total cost is more than total revenue. That means you are facing losses. And then at the break-even point, actually, no, this is made in a very bad way. I just have to make it a little easier. If I make a better inclination, you'll be able to get it. This is the one. The variable cost can go like this. This is my fixed cost, and there goes my variable cost. Total cost. This is my total cost. This looks better. Now, my revenue, I'll start earning from 0 rupees. This 0 rupees starts from here and then I go up. Can you see my total revenue was earlier less than the total cost? In this case, this is basically called loss part. And then we make a good amount of money. This is called the profit part. The point at which we have a no profit, no loss situation, that is called break even point, where we have no profit, no loss as in this case, what's exactly happening is our total revenue is equal to total cost. Beyond this point, till the time we are producing, we are having margin of safety, everyone. That's called MOS. MOS and break-even point. If I look at the total production, from the total production, if you remove the break-even point, you get MOS. ठीक है, till a particular amount of production we will make sure that we are producing the goods properly. Beyond that, we are looking forward towards earning a huge amount of profit, because first of all we have to recover the money that we have to pay for variable and fixed costs. Only then we can look at others. So what is not correct about the break even point? Everyone, here comes the question. Okay, so now is it visible? A financing bank prefers to finance a project with low break even point. Obviously, you can recover the money earlier and then there is a chance that you will get the money fast. If fixed costs are increased, the break even point also increases. Yes, because you have to pay more money to recover the amount. Contrary, sales minus variable cost, that is also correct. Remember, I told we do not use the word contrary, it is too long. I use the word contribution. Okay, the contribution, that is contrary, so that is an easier word. A unit operating below break even point means it is incurring losses. You know, that would be the point. But they are saying they will be incurring cash losses. But that is not necessary, that they will be incurring cash losses, because depreciation is also among the fixed cost. So I would say the point is D is wrong. Sometimes we'll not have cash losses because there's a fixed expense called depreciation. In depreciation, you do not give the money to anyone. So it will take time. So in this case, the correct answer is D. Next point, margin of safety. Okay, another point. We are done with this point in detail. So technically, during the entire area of margin costing, I'm talking about each and every point. Fixed cost and variable cost, fixed cost and break-even sales, estimated sales and break-even sales, and none of the above. Everyone, what's the answer? Fixed cost and variable cost, fixed and break-even. We are moving forward. In this case, the most important thing is estimated sales and break-even. We are going beyond the break-even point. That is how we can grow further. You know? Done? This point. In absorption costing, I told you this is an older way of working. Okay? They are not the ones which are working on a daily basis. That's an older way of working. Now, when we talk about the absorption costing, absorption means only the variable cost is to be taken, only the fixed cost, only the variable and variable overheads are to be taken. And then the next point is both the variables costing and proportionate fixed cost are taken as the cost of unit. When we talk about absorption, absorption is basically both are taken, variable as well as fixed. You have to take both into consideration. Okay? Done. Next point. The next point says that what is the other name of marginal costing? We just talked about it in the beginning, everyone. When we talk about the costing there, what would be the answer? Standard, variable, absorption, activity-based costing. Activity-based costing is a very different area altogether, isn't it? What's going to be the answer? That would be variable costing. We've done this part earlier as well now. That is variable costing, because standard costing and marginal and variable are the same thing. Next point. What is the contribution in marginal costing, everyone? Contribution, sales minus fixed cost, sales minus total cost, sale minus variable cost, or sales minus indirect cost. Sales minus variable cost. We have done this part now. That is sales minus variable cost. Okay. Next point. What is the formula for PV ratio? We have talked about this as well. I hope you're going correct in this case. What's going to be the answer? That is country upon sales. Profit upon fixed cost will be the, okay, let me wait. We'll come to that point as well. We'll be talking about the formula further as well. Actually, there are many formulas in this, and I want to explain all those formulas to you. So, rushing towards it, here comes the point which I was actually just about to say. So, this is the point, everyone. What does the term margin of safety represent? Everyone, what does the term margin of safety, MOS, the gap between fixed and variable, the cushion available for sustaining operations in the time of adversity, the total profit generated by the business, or the ratio of contribution to sales? पता है margin of safety is when we start earning beyond our break even point. That means we are able to cover our fixed costs, we're able to cover everything, and then we're making huge amount of profit as well. Not huge, but at least good amount. This is a cushion when we are having a good amount of money and we can save it for our adversities. Done? So here comes a question now. Try this question. If the unit sales is 160, variable cost is 120, find the PV ratio, everyone. Take a minute. The formula in this case would be contribution divided by sales, where contribution is sales minus variable cost divided by sales price. This is equal to 160 minus 120 divided by 160. This is equal to 40 divided by 160. So this gives you multiplied by 100. So this gives you 25%. Got the idea, everyone? Answer is 25%. Done? Okay. So the next question. What do you, okay, in this case, we are done with this question. What does the margin of safety represent? Margin of safety represents the cushion available for sustaining operations at the time of adversities. Okay? Acha, this is the formula. What is the formula for margin of safety, everyone? What is the formula for margin of safety? In case of margin of safety, estimated sales minus break even sales minus estimated sales, break even and actual and break even and divided by actual sales. This is a point where you go beyond your regular production. Matlab, first of all, we try to achieve at least the minimum. That is where we are trying to cover our costs. Once we have recovered our cost, then we look forward to what's the first next point now. So if your actual sales is more, the estimated sales is more than the break even point, and we divide it by the estimated sales. Normally we play with this. If we are using actual sales, then we'll be dividing by actual sales only. Okay, this is also there, but normally in terms of margin of safety and break even point, these are normally used in terms of the businesses which are related to the era of estimated sales, break even, estimated, this is basically related to the area of planning and all na. So budgeting के साथ में, since because of budgeting it is more used in terms of estimation rather than exact. ठीक है? Done? Okay, here comes the next question, everyone. Easy question. I find this question very easy. Which term represents the difference between the sales and the sales price and variable cost? We have talked about it. Fixed cost, country, absorption, or overhead. This is sales minus variable cost, which is equal to country. Answer is contribution. Hello everyone, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I am with you with the area of JAIIB. And today we are going to cover the last chapter, the last leg of Module T. That is budgetary control. That's one of the easiest yet one of the most varied conceptual topic to take. Budget is definitely different from that of planning, everyone. I hope you know that. Why do we call budget is different from that of planning? Under budget, see, planning is basically this is what we'll be doing in our future. This is what we plan for the future. This is what we are anticipating in our future. That's what we say. Budget is basically, pata hai, if this is our plan for the future, na, then I believe this much amount of money would be required. Or we will be talking about the anticipated money for the future would be this. So the difference between planning and budgetary control is conclusive monetary value. It has nothing but conclusive monetary value. Writing it over here, everyone. This is what? Monetary value. That's budget. And what do you mean by budgetary control? Acha, everyone, if I find out that in a normal case I spend 10,000, can I try something it can reduce further? I can do that, na? Isn't it? If I don't do that, what will happen? See, the point is that if we are not having budget, na, then it is wrong. We need to have a proper budget and we need to control the budget as well. That means we need to have a good budgetary control. Budgetary control means what? Budgetary control is a situation where we have a specific budget and we are trying to control the expenses for the future as well, because if we do not keep a control on our future expenses, it will go beyond the level and it will impact the organization. Because if we do not try to reduce the particular budget pricing na, then the organization will never be able to earn future profits. To earn profits, we definitely need to do something about it. Right? So, here comes the first point. What is the primary purpose of budgetary control in the organization? To forecast future events, to assess the performance of the organization against the budget targets, to determine market trends, or to analyze historical data. Achha, when we talk about budgetary control, na, see, in this case, does budgetary control or any part of the costing says ki theek hai na, let's reduce the particular cost by reducing the particular price of the thing? Can we do this? Can we? Nah, we cannot do this. Because if we play with the quality, why would people buy the same good again? People would buy the same good because it remains the same. For example, if I like Levi's jeans, I would love the particular jeans in future as well. The reason is they make good pair of jeans. The jeans is very rugged and very soft, I believe. But it is made in such a way that whatever way you keep it, it's still going to be the same. That means that's a reliable thing to wear. You know? Then what is the primary purpose of budgetary control? To forecast future events accurately, to assess the performance of the organization against budgeted targets, to determine market trends, or to analyze the historical data. The primary purpose of the budgetary control, you cannot anticipate the future accurately. I think people would have tried it in 2020 and they failed terribly as soon as the lockdown happened on 18th of March. So, yep, you cannot forecast the future. To assess the performance of the organization against the budgeted targets, you have to see your performance and you want to see what's going to happen in the future, isn't it? The clarity of the working is definitely required in this case. Now the next point is to determine the market trends. वैसे actually the answer is already taken. Market trends is something you cannot determine. If we could determine, then I would have been the trendsetter. Anybody can be the trendsetter. But the point is, the market is determined by a lot of people going for one particular thing. Right? So in this case, the correct answer is to assess the performance. As I told you, that is the point. Hanji. What distinguishes a budget from the forecast? Hanji, what distinguishes the budget from the forecast? Forecast is anticipating the future. That पता है, this can happen in the future. है ना? And forecast is prepared after the budget period, while the budget is prepared prior to the budget period. The forecast contains definite targets, while budget implies some degree of flexibility. Forecast is a financial plan, while budget is an assessment of future events. Forecast is an estimate of future operations, or the budget is operating and financial plan. When we talk about this entire thing of management, na, see, first of all, we want to know what's going to happen in the future, and then we will determine the particular things in a proper manner. है ना? So, when we talk about budget, budget is conclusive plan. 10,000 rupees anticipated, 20,000 rupees anticipated, 30 anticipated, clearly telling about that. है ना? So, in this case, the forecast is a future operation. कि ठीक है ना, this is what will happen in the future, while budget is being conclusive. This is our plan. This is what will happen, operating as well as financial. अच्छा, what does the budgeting encompass? मतलब, what does the budgeting actually include, everyone? The budgeting includes only the process of estimating future cost, only the process of estimating budgets for future various departments, or the to complete the complete process of designing, implementing and operating budgets, or the only process of comparing actual performance with the forecasted performance. The correct answer is to complete the process of designing, implementing and operating budgets. Basically, if you want to have a project, then you will have to see that what is it that you want for it. Okay? How does budgeting contribute to managerial control? Budgeting plays a very important role by allowing flexibility in operations, then by providing the systematic plan for resource utilization, by comparing actual with the performance, or by forecasting future events accurately. You just can't have your future determined accurately. It will take time in any case. So the answer should be you compare the actual. Okay? You compare your actual performance with the targeted performance. This will help you out in terms of your reality check. Actual performance with the budgeted targets. By comparing the actual with the budget, matlab you see what you planned and how did you execute it. Execution. Next point. What type of budget serves as the basis of preparing other functional budgets? Production budget, cash budget, sales budget and capital expenditure budget. The budget basically serves as a part of production budget, matlab nahi, basis for all other budgets na. So that is the answer is sales budget. First of all, you prepare the sales budget. ठीक है ना, we anticipate this much amount of sales this year. Based upon this should be our production, whatever we already have and whatever we don't have. Based upon the production that we need, do we need another plant or not? And based upon all these things, what is the cash that is required in this case? So the answer is sales budget is the first and everything else comes after. Cash budget is prepared at the end. ठीक है? Acha everyone, good news, our sale is going on. If you haven't taken up the courses yet, then hurry up and enroll in our courses. Before I actually proceed further, let me show you what you might be missing if you do not purchase our courses right away. Okay? So at this point of time, I hope you know the courses are available at a discount, and there it is. This is our website. Go onto the website. As you can see, all the Mahapacks are having double validity. If I buy JIB CIB Mahapack, obviously you are not only preparing for JIB. Your growth doesn't stop with JIB. It goes further till CIB. You know? So what you need to do is click on the area of buy now. Use the code Y541 and apply it. You will get a double validity and 11,023 rupees. Matlab this would be actually 10,500 after 80% discount if you are using the app. For 10,500 for 2 years. That means you are not even paying 500 something per month, and you are getting the entire JIB and entire CIB. In the next 2 years, you can look at any courses of JIB, any courses of CIB, all the electives of the CIB also included, all the subjects of JIB included, all the it is available in 2 languages, bilingual as well as English medium, test series, ebooks, marathon, mini marathon, all things included. So if you want to purchase it, this is available for double validity, a win-win situation. Such a particular opportunity comes very rarely, so if you should prepare for the examination now, then buy it for the maximum discount. Okay na? Because this is the perfect time. If you're looking forward towards finance, then why not the perfect price? So in this case, let's pursue further and talk about the questions further. Okay, this was the question. What is the main focus of production budget? Estimating cash flow and outflows, determining the plan for capital expenditure, estimating production quantities for various products, or calculating production costs. The correct answer in this case would be what? What is the main focus of production budget? Main focus of production budget is to find out what quantities should be produced and when should we start with production, because without starting the production, where will we go na? That is not good for the organization at all, isn't it? Next question, what is the purpose of cash budget? Every budget has a very important role to play. Every single budget. Okay, so that means there are certain forms of budget which would to estimate the production quantities, to estimate sales revenues, to plan cash inflows or cash outflows, or to calculate the production cost. See, cash budget is always about to look forward towards what is the amount that would be spent in the future, what is the amount that we'll be recovering in the future, because you want to know how much money you should keep in the pocket, because ultimately you don't want to go blank in the world na, कि ठीक है, someone asks you to pay and you don't have the money, isn't it? This is not good for any organization. It is rather bad for the organization if they are supposed to pay to someone and they do not have enough money to pay at that point of time, isn't it? Done. Okay. What would be the answer? Everybody, what's going to be the answer? Okay, done with this. What is a consolidated budget for all the activities called? Consolidated budget. Consolidated means the one which is combined together. है ना? So consolidated means if it's just a functional budget, sales budget, master budget, or production cost. You start with the sales budget. Then you come to know about the production budget. Then you prepare it for various functions, because production is not the only area. You have multiple areas to work upon. And after making the entire budget, matlab everything coming together, is called master budget. This includes everything. All the points together is covered under master budget. That's why it's called consolidated budget. What is the primary characteristic of a long-term budget? It is prepared for a period of up to 2 years. Then it includes the precise details of various items. It is more helpful in business forecasting and forward planning. It is designed to change as the volume of the output changes. Yep, it has various aids. It is more helpful in forecasting and future planning. See, forward planning and all this can be done only with the clarity that we possess in the business. Without this, your business cannot grow. You know? That's one particular point through which the business grows. Done. What is the difference between budget, budgeting, budgetary control according to Rowland and William? Okay, before I go with the Rowland and William, there is one particular point. Budget is the anticipated money that we'll receive in the future. Budgeting is the process, while budgetary control is, I know this much amount would be spent, but how do we reduce it? We cannot be spending a lot of money in one or the other thing for the business. Na? We should be having a specific way through which we can reduce the utilization of the money, isn't it? Budgets are individual objectives. Budgeting is the act of building budgets, and budgetary control is planning, utilizing them for the business control. I think the first one should be the answer. At least that looks like right now. Budgetary control focuses on planning the budget. Budgeting involves utilizing the budget for overall management tools. Vague one. The budgeting encompasses establishing budget, while budgetary control involves comparing actual with budgetary results. And budgets are rigid systems and they provide flexibility. The correct answer in this case is A. That was the only thing that made sense. Rest everything was vague. है ना? Done. What does budgetary control aim? Budgetary control aims to provide functionaries with the organization, creative and creativity and innovation, freedom of action, direction, and aim towards the business objectives and complacency and inaction. Budgetary control aims at what? See, we are trying to control the organization's budget, है ना? मतलब actually we are trying to reduce the particular expenses that we have to incur. The answer should be the directions and aims towards the organizational objectives, है ना? That should be the answer. Acha, how does budgetary control? This is an interesting question again. This says that how does budgetary control differ from the budgeting process, everyone? How is budgetary control different? Budgetary control is indeed different from budget, but how are they different? Budgetary control involves preparing of the budgets, while budgeting involves the actual results with the budgeted figures. Budgetary control involves establishing budgets and taking corrective action, while budgeting involves continuous application of the actual results. Budgetary control focuses on setting targets. Budgeting focuses on monitoring the actual performance, or budgetary control is a rigid system. Budgeting is the more flexible. Budgetary control is you see a control and you want to make the control work, है ना? Every business would want that. That this is possible, isn't it? What would be the answer? Budgetary control is the process of controlling or at least trying to reducing it. While when we talk about budgetary control, it's establishing and taking corrective action. Budgeting is the process. Done? As per SEMA, London, what does the budgetary control involve? Only preparing and approving budgets, only comparing actual attainment with budgeted figures, and establishing budgets, comparing actual with budgeted the results, and only taking corrective actions, only revising the actual budgets if necessary. The answer is establishing budgets, comparing actions, actual and budgetary transactions, as well as taking corrective action. Without taking corrective action, we cannot grow. With you with the era of AFM. What are we dealing with today? Let's discuss the particular portion. We are done with the entire modules, as you already know. We are done with module A, module B, module C, as well as module D. So what am I doing today? I am dealing with the last two chapters combined. From tomorrow onwards, I'll be starting with the entire revision of each and every module. I'll try to cover up the important relevant questions, or the questions which I've seen in the examination previously in terms of this particular area. Before I proceed further, just two things. First of all, please like this particular session. Secondly, please share it among your peers so that maximum people can join in terms of our class. Right? Okay. So what are we dealing with today? We're talking about standard costing. Standard matlab I set up a standard. This is what we are going to do. Budgetary control talks about monetary value. What is it in terms of money that the organization possesses? What is a plan actually? I think I'll be saving 10,000 bucks in the future, or maybe I'll be spending 10,000 bucks in the future. The production is of 10,000 units. That's anticipation of the future. Based upon the anticipation, I define the money that I'm going to spend on that particular thing. So that's about standard costing and budgetary control. So let's deal with both of these topics together in this series. And please go ahead and like the session, everyone. Let's begin with the session. Okay, here comes the first question. Which of the following is not an advantage of marginal? I'm sorry. Which of the following is not an advantage of marginal costing? Everyone? Marginal costing matlab variable costing. It provides a rational basis for setting sales prices, requires separate set of records, or next is helps determine the break-even point, and last is facilitates cost control. What does it do, everyone? Not an advantage of marginal costing. Facilitates cost control. It does. Helps determine break-even point. It does. Provides a rational basis of setting the sales price, or requires separate set of records. I think all things make sense except B. There's no point of setting up the records for profit planning. This is not a relevant point. Rest everything else is. Okay? The answer is B. Next question. What does the marginal cost emphasize regarding the fixed cost, everyone? They vary with production volume. Nope. Fixed cost remains the same. If the factory rent is 1 lakh rupees per month, it remains 1 lakh no matter what we do. It remains constant regardless of production. They are included in the work in progress. We don't include it in the WIP overall. The next point is the last one. They are not relevant for profit planning. They are. How can we forget about the rent that we have to pay? We cannot cry about the fact that, oh, I forgot to include that 1 lakh rupees that we have to pay. Fixed cost is normally a a major amount for the organization already. So the point is, the answer is B only, everyone. I'll just correct it up. It remains constant. Whatever we do, this amount remains constant. ठीक है? Now this point is, what does, acha, this is B, what does the marginal cost emphasize regarding fixed cost? Acha, this is what we did, no? They remain constant. Now next point, which limitation of marginal costing? This is, they're talking about the limitation of marginal costing to the difficulty in segregating cost into fixed and variable. Fixed and variable. Fixed cost and variable cost, the specific cost, they are related to the area of personal judgment of the accountant, unrealistic assumptions about the cost behavior, and then we have unrealistic inventory valuation and impact on sales price due to the production volume. Fixed and variable cost. One particular problem is basically personal judgment of the accountant. Which part is regular, which part is not, which part really affects the business and which part doesn't, which is variable, which is not. Okay, there are 3 points. Variable, semi variable, and fixed. There's always a thin line, silver lining among all these. So this is what we will look forward to. ठीक है ना? So we have to determine the classification based upon the clarity. Done? Which assumption of marginal costing is not considered realistic in practice? Fixed costs do not vary. They do. Variable costs are always proportional to the production volume. Inventory valuation accurately reflects the costs and sales price per unit remains constant. What's going to be the answer? What's going to be the answer, everyone? Which assumption of marginal costing is not considered realistic practice? Fixed cost actually varies over the period of time. So this assumption is still realistic. In the short term, it doesn't vary. Variable costs are always proportional to production volume. It is. Semi-variable varies. This doesn't. So this is also a variable. This is also considered a realistic point. Inventory valuation accurately reflects cost. Not really, but sometimes, yeah. Sales price per unit remains constant. It can never remain constant, everyone. How can I ever say ki the price remains constant? It is not Maggie. Maggie and the second one is, first is Maggie and the second one is Parle-G. They have kept the same price, but do you know they have reduced the weight? You cannot do this. It's not good for any of the organizations to have the same price. Why would you want that people should have the same price? You will have to increase it as per the inflation point. Na? Done? Oh, here comes the next point, that is called the zero-based budgeting. This was given by Peter Payer, pata hai? Everyone? ZBB uses historical data, zero-based budgeting. Okay, let me tell you a brief information about this topic. Zero-based budgeting is actually a situation where we do not have any previous base. Whatever we knew earlier, we are going to keep it aside. That means there is no specific base or assumption on which we are working. This particular point is called ZBB, also known as zero base budgeting, where the budget is set but on the basis of the current situations, not on the basis of past. For example, if I'm talking about COVID, during the COVID period, entire dimensions changed altogether. It's no longer the same, is it? It's all totally different from what we knew before COVID and what happened after COVID. The market changed, the market dimensions changed, the demands changed, the pattern of the demand also changed. So zero based budgeting says whatever the previous things are on the basis of which you were adding up and finding the present situation, don't do that anymore. ZBB uses historical data as a reference point. ZBB starts from scratch without any reference point to the past, or ZBB focuses only on incremental charges, or ZBB incorporates all previous expenditures automatically. In this case, ZBB uses, it starts from scratch. It doesn't use the previous information at all. They say we'll find everything on the basis of what we have today, not something that we had yesterday. What is the premise underlying? Premise matlab assumption, everyone. What is the assumption underlying ZBB? Go ahead and answer. Every expenditure should be automatically included in the budget. Not really. We cannot say this. Next point. Historical spending patterns should dictate future allocated functions. It can do that. But the point is, this is only if the things don't change. There's an increase of 10% raw material price over the few years, but all of a sudden, due to some war or something, it just increased. The entire previous thing is gone now. It's history. है ना? So historical spending patterns really don't worry about it anymore. They keep on changing after some time. Every rupee of expenditure requires justifying. वैसे तो it does. If you make people answerable, then they will spend wisely. Budgeting should be based on solely on incremental basis. Budgeting should be done on incremental basis. We can say that. But when we talk about premises in terms of zero-based budgeting, in this case, the answer is C only. Rest everything sounds too historical. Everything has a history involved in it, but ZBB says there is no history. How does ZBB differ from traditional budgeting? Traditional budgeting says what was the cost in the last year. Acha, it was 100 rupees. Now it has grown to 110. Then it has grown to 120. There has been an increase of 10 rupees. Pattern decoded. ZBB automatically incorporates previous expenditures. Traditional budgeting requires justification for every expenditure. ZBB only considers incremental changes in the expenditure. Traditional budgeting starts from scratch without reference of past data. But traditional budgeting was based upon हमारे ज़माने में ये होता था, तो इस बार ये हो रहा होगा. You have that defining thing there, है ना? You have a trend analysis and then you say that this must be something that's going to happen in this year as well. That doesn't make sense. So ZBB works in what way, everyone? Done, everyone? So in this case, traditional talks about the previous part. ZBB doesn't incorporate, so this first is wrong. ZBB considered. The answer should be B is definitely related to the area of traditional budgeting. ZBB, no, there should be ZBB written here. Traditional wasn't really this part. ZBB talks about justification at every point of time. Traditional had a cluster of it. They used to find estimates. Okay, in ZBB, what is the starting point of budgeting, everyone? Where is it that the ZBB starts? What's going to be the answer? In ZBB, what is the starting point? Historical expenditure patterns. We don't look at history at all. Incremental changes from the previous budget. Uh, that's also history. Scrutiny of every expenditure item from the beginning and automatic inclusion of past expenditures. Past each and every expenditure is scrutinized. Why this? Why that? Why not this? Why not that? So technically, it is C. Scrutiny of every expenditure item from the very beginning. We will try to find whether this is justified, whether it relates to the business, or it's just not worth it. Right? What is the primary focus of ZBB? Incremental changes from previous budgets, reusing budget figures from previous years, re-evaluating all activities and their constituent parts, automatically incorporated past budget allocations. What is primary focus of ZBB? Primary focus of ZBB is just gonna reevaluate every part. You just can't see the previous past. You just can't see what's happening in the records. ZBB is clearly saying zero base budgeting. There is no previous base that we are taking up. There is completely no base. Taken. If there's any base involved, then it is wrong, because zero based budgeting says we are coming out of the chains of the past. Done, everyone? Done? Chaliye then, let's move on to the next question. What does the performance based budgeting emphasize? Performance means it is based upon the realistic situation that we can face. Allocating funds on the basis of historical history is just not considered. That is a part of traditional. Re-examining each program rationale for inclusion of the budget, analyzing and identifying specific performance budgets, objectives, or ignoring the outcome of the services. The answer would be analyzing and identifying specific performance objectives. We are going to see the objectives. We're going to see and analyze the specific performances related to that particular part. Taken? We're going to study that part deeply. Done now? Okay. Now comes the next part. Limitations of performance budget. We are difficult in segregating programs in the evaluation method. Strong emphasis on profit motive. Profit motive is a part of entire area, but costing never talks about that. It says ki we are trying to control the cost. Profit is something that just happens. Inclusion of all activities or programs without re-evaluation. Performance budgeting. It's based upon performance. So you evaluate, re-evaluate, and you keep on doing it. Lack of focus on specific performance budgets. You will have to see on specificities. If you don't look at specific things, how will you do at the things altogether? This is difficult in segregating the programs. That is what they can face. That there are the different programs in which they can divide. But they don't really face a problem in they don't face a problem in defining the programs. It's not based upon the past. The performances, the reality changes. In terms of industrialization, if industrialization wasn't possible, things for us would have been the same. This doesn't change at all. But things change, don't they? How are variances between standard and actual achievement handled in budgetary control? These are again a part of standard costing, what we thought and what we had. And in this case, we might have to revise the things as well. They are ignored by the management. Corrective actions are determined by the discretion of the management. They are automatically corrected by the system. They are not calculated as a part of budget monitoring. What is it? What's the answer? Done? The answer is corrective actions are determined by the discretion of the management. They're the only ones who decide. Everyone, welcome to Afsara 24/7. My name is Niharika Walia Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the area of AFM. We are all done with our syllabus and soon we'll be starting with a new series as well. So I hope this entire series was helpful for you. This specific series not only includes the specific topic of one specific chapter or two, but it includes all entire 4 modules. Along with that, each and every chapter has been given to you separately. That means if you are looking forward towards your revision, then these questions that I would have given you over this entire series would be a good number of questions. In each class, I've given you around more than 10 to 12 questions. So overall, if you look at the number of questions, we have crossed the mark of more than 150 questions in this particular series itself. So that's one part. So till then, before I move forward, please go ahead and like this particular session and share it among the peers as well. Okay, everyone. The first point, we're talking about the practice questions. Basically, I was planning to have a few practice questions for the entire portion of the week that is left. Soon we'll be coming up with something new for you. But before that, we would be starting with something new from 15th onwards. 15th onwards, 16th onwards, it's a suspense for the moment. I'll be talking about it soon. But at this point of time, let's start with the practice session. What are we covering today? Well, we are covering the specific topic of interest earned by the bank. Here, this is a question of banking. This is how the banking financial statements are prepared. When you prepare the banking financial statements, they have their format different from other organizations. Why do they have it different, everyone? They have it different because of one specific reason. They are covered under Banking Regulation Act. You know, and they are a banking company. When you are a banking company, then in this case, what will happen is all this entire information goes there itself. Okay, so when you are a banking company, at that point of time the entire information of your bank is shown in a specific format, and that particular format is fixed in terms of both the areas. That means when we talk about the specific area of balance sheet, it is fixed, and even in the case of the not only the balance sheet but also in terms of the P&L. So we are currently talking about that point as only. So let's talk about this particular answer. Is it the schedule number 13 or 14 or 15 or 16? The correct answer is the first one. Interest earned is the vital source of money for the organizations. Not only it is vital, it is actually the first level of source that is required by them, isn't it? So the correct answer in this question is going to be Schedule 13. Next question. Which of the following is not amongst the core banking? Pata hai what is the power of core banking? I am sitting at my place, and if I have any problem, then I can actually go ahead and review my bank account details, my accounts, and at any point of time, even if the timing for the working hours is already over, I can still review that. This is the power of this entire area, isn't it? So this particular part is not only required, acha, but at the same time earlier na, the people who were required in the banks, they had to go through a lot, because they had to go through a lot because when the manual working was there, maintaining the books of accounts was not at all easy. Think about, you have so many people whose books of accounts you have to maintain, and it is so much of challenging work that you are supposed to do. isn't it? So technically, when we talk about the business entity concept, in terms of the CBS or core banking solutions, it becomes easier. So it supports the multi-currency operations, or it provides 24 into 7 operations, or it provides improved customer satisfaction, or increases the bank's profits as customers are charged extra for core banking. You can't charge extra for core banking. It is making your work easier. So in this case, the correct answer is it increases the profit as per customers by charges is just not correct. It helps them get the things without any problem. They are ultimately the people who core banking solution is actually the software. For example, in terms of the finance, we have banks, we have Finacle. This is the ones which are one of the most popular ones. There are other banking solution as well. These softwares have helped the banks in their automation. Okay, here comes the next point. Besides, with the computerized accounting, many things have become easier, but that doesn't mean there is no need of the bankers in the offices, because without the bankers, it is not possible to have that level of clarity in terms of the work at all. Why? Because the bankers knows how to operate the particular CBS, and they are the ones who are preparing the specific area of they're also looking at the specific area of are reconciliations for bank statements, long form audit report. For the audit report, you really have to give them all the information. The bank, the CAs and everybody else cannot access it. Ultimately, only the banks can provide this information. है ना? Which one of the following statements is not correct regarding computerized accounting? First is, business transactions are captured in the form of accounting entries. It offers benefit of speed and accuracy. Higher cost as compared to human labor is an disadvantage of it. Nahi, there is no specific increased cost with this. है ना? Obviously, you need time for the training, but that doesn't mean that the cost is going soaring high. It is high, but not soaring high. So the answer is C only. I'll just stop there only. Okay, another question of CBS, everyone. CBS in the large bank, which one of the following statements is true? For the core banking system of large bank, each branch has its own server connected directly to the servers of other branches, or this is only one powerful server at a centralized data center, or each branch has a server connected to the server of centralized data. See, when you are a bigger branch now, then you cannot have one big centralized structure. One big centralized structure can be very, very difficult to maintain. So then you have to be opened up, or you have to look forward towards a specific area of the growth. You have to have your each branch having their own server which is connected with the main server. Now this will reduce the issues further. है ना? Okay, here comes a long question on cash book. What do you mean by cash book, everyone? It's one of the sub-C books which is related to the area of the growth of the businesses. है ना? Cash book is basically the part which notes down the growth of the business altogether. Why do I say it helps in noting down the growth of the business? Because cash book is a primary as well as subsidiary book. It's a book which contains both. Primary as well as secondary book. Primary because without cash you just can't have anything. And secondary book because first of all you have to note everything else, and then you have to bring up this entire detail as well. Okay, now let's move on to the question there. Uh, an amount incorrectly written to the company's account by the bank, lodgements into bank not reported in the bank statements, dishonor of a check. These are the information that you are looking forward towards cash book and bank statement. Acha, when we talk about the cash book and bank statement, this is bank reconciliation statement, a statement which records the differences between the two accounts. Okay. Obviously, the cash book might be noting some entries which the banks don't know about, and there would be entries which bank knows about and we don't know about it at all. An amount which is incorrectly credited in the company's account of the bank, lodgements into the bank, or not reported in the bank statements, or dishonor of a check, bank loan interest cover recovered by the bank, or check drawn by the company yet to be presented to the bank. Cash book 1, 3, and 4 in the bank reconciliation 2 and 4. Cash book has to correct a few things which they come to know about it later on. So there are certain things which cash book says this is not my problem, this is not my mistake, this is because of the time. For example, the check drawn but not present for payment. This is not a particular fault of cash book. So fifth point will not go into this area. So I'll remove this part at least. We have fifth here, and bank loan interest recovered by the bank is the next point. And let's see, lodgements. Even the second one, the lodgements into the bank is not reported by the bank. This is also not covered under amended cash book again, because amended means you are accepting that your cash book has an issue and you'll be correcting it. Now second is also not a part of the cash book area, so that means second is also removed here. This is how you do the elimination method. You have this and this point. Then we have an amount incorrectly credited by the company's account by the bank. If it is given by the bank, we'll be recording it properly. That is true. So after eliminating the first two, we are left with almost everything is correct. So in this case, either 2 and 4 goes into the bank reconciliation statement. No, this is correct. The correct answer is actually B, because 1, 2, and 5 are a part of it. 1 is a part of it. 2, as I told you, this is not a cash book's mistake. Cash book can make mistakes, but this is not their mistake if they don't know about certain things. So how can we make them responsible for something they don't know already, they don't know about? है ना? If they're not wrong about it, why should we record it in them? So this is the answer. Acha, transactions between the owner and the business are recorded as per what, everyone? The transactions between the owner and the business. Periodicity concept or going concern concept, prudence, or then the next part is the business entity concept. Periodicity talks about the time. Going concern talks about men may come and men may go, but the organization is here to stay. You know. Then prudence talks about having the sense. Prudence says कि when we talk about an organization, everyone, when we talk about a specific organization, there's one particular thing which is there. Prudence is basically conservatism. Conservatism matlab anticipate the losses but not profits. If you can see the profits coming up, wait for the profits to be there. But if you see losses coming up, don't try to put them into your books of accounts at all. Done? So, the last is business entity concept. Business entity concept. Now, periodicity talks about the financial year differentiation. Going concern is long term of the longevity of the business. Prudence says anticipate the losses but not profits. And then we have business entity concept. Business entity concept is related to the area of business and businessman. They are not the same at all. That's the level of clarity that you will find in this area, that business entity and concept talks about the business and the businessman. They are not the same. So we have got the answer. The answer is business entity concept. All the following statements are objectives of the accounting except providing information about the assets, liabilities, and capital of the business entity, maintaining records of the business. Objectives of accounting. Maintaining the records of the business is a part of it. Providing information about this is also there. Providing information about the performance of the business or providing details of the personal assets and liabilities of the owner. Always remember, the personal assets of liabilities of the owner are not written. The portion that they have invested in the business is called capital, and the portion of the money that they have invested, if they take it out, it is called drawings. There is no in way between. ठीक है? This is not the responsibility of the business to note down. They don't have to. Dash principle requires that the same accounting method should be used from one accounting period to the next. Conservatism, consistency, business entity or money measurement. Conservatism matlab anticipate the losses but not profits. Consistency is matlab you have the same methods over the period of time. Nobody says you cannot change, but your change should be reasonable and it should be stable at least. Business entity, you already know about the term. Business entity is basically the businessman and the business, they're just not the same. The last point is money measurement, everyone. When we talk about the money measurement concept, everything should be recorded in money only, then it makes sense for the business. You know? So in this case, what's going to be the answer? Conservatism, consistency, business entity, or money measurement. Same accounting method should be used over the period of time. When we talk about one specific method used over the specific period of time, this specific concept is called consistency. ठीक है? The answer is consistency. Done, everyone? Acha, in yesterday's class now we have talked about a specific area. I was thinking to have it more of module A today, but somehow by the time I was making the questions, I made more of a mix today. So we'll be continuing with the mix of questions. For chapter wise, you can see all the particular classes that I've done before. I've covered all the particular topics there. Okay. So there's last question for what we were doing yesterday. What distinguishes the ZBB, zero-based budgeting, from the conventional budgeting? ZBB is a particular situation where we say कि नहीं, we do not have a specific budgeting technique or a specific budgeting base on which we'll be preparing our books of accounts. If we are preparing the books of accounts on previous basis, it is wrong. They said why it is wrong. They said because the situations have changed. The previous basis cannot be taken as the base for preparing the books of accounts. Don't do that because this will create a lot of trouble for the organization. So zero-based budgeting is budgeting where you have no previous base. You look at current situation and then you prepare your future budget. That is what we cover in the ZBB area, everyone. Okay, so zero, it uses historical data. It doesn't use, starts from scratch without any reference. This sounds the better point. Or then ZBB focuses only on incremental changes. No, and ZBB incorporates all previous expenditure methods. It actually is ZBB focuses. No, the answer is B, everyone. Okay, the answer is B. Hello everyone, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Valia Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the era of AFM, Accounting and Financial Management for Bankers. You already know we are done with the entire syllabus once. The entire series is available for you. What you can do is you can look at each and every chapter and see the set of questions which are available for you. Now, what else we are looking forward to, everyone? As you already know that whatever we are doing right now is extremely important in terms of your examination, as MCQs is the only way through which you can check whatever you have practiced till now. So, what are we dealing with today, everyone? We're dealing with the practice questions of multiple modules. I've mixed up all the modules. I was planning to have separate modules each class, but it's way better that we have multiple modules covered at once. Okay, everyone. So here comes a few mini questions and a few big questions. Talking about the mini questions, these questions can be asked in the short, small answer questions, that is short answer questions, which is half or 1 marker, है ना? They're also there in the examination, so that you can finish it off with this particular portion. And moreover, these are questions which are there in the examination. ठीक है जी? Now, let's look at this particular point as well. Sinking fund is an example of annuity, depreciation, perpetuity, or all of the above. Everyone, sinking fund. Pata sinking fund is what? Sinking fund is actually the money that we are saving for our future. Because after a certain period of time, this money would be utilized in the business. For what purpose? This money would be utilized in the business for buying the new asset. Because what happens is, after a certain period of time, we need to replace the asset, right? So this particular area is related to the area of, we say this is related to the area of annuity, depreciation, perpetuity, or all of the above. Normally, sinking fund is basically a fund where you put a specific amount of money. It's called annuity. Goods returned to RAI rupees 3000 recorded through the sales book rupees 1000. Acha, now that's a journal entry. Debit to the sales account as 1000. Debit RAI's account with 2000. Credit returns outwards with 3000. Okay, goods returned to RAI. Matlab the correct journal entry was goods returned to RAI. Matlab the goods are gone. To purchase return. And we have RAI here. है ना? RAI account debit to purchase return, which is of 3000 and 3000, and recorded through the sales book. Sales book is of 1000. Matlab what I actually did was I wrote it as RAI to sales, in this case as 1000. This is the wrong entry. Now the correct entry is written, the wrong entry is written, but what I can see, for rectification the problem arises as RAI is undercast. So I have to make RAI for 2000. So this part is correct. Then this purchase return has to be created. Return outward and to sales. No, sales has to be eliminated, because this part is on the credit side. You have to make it on the debit side. So sales account debited 1000. है ना? Got the idea, everyone? So in this case, debit the sales account by 1000 is also correct, and the credit return outwards with 3000 is also correct. Purchase return is the goods that we purchase and we didn't like it, so we returned. That is also written there. So in this case, can we say it is D? All three are correct. Rest, I don't think we need to look forward towards the explanation, though I've given the explanation, but there's no need for the explanation, as this is the correct way of looking at it. This process is called rectification of errors, everyone. An important area for the examination. This is rectification of errors. Okay? Achha. Now comes the next question. This is an item of revenue expenditure has been incorrectly treated as capital expenditure. What is the effect of this error, everyone? Non-current assets understated, profit overstated, or non-current assets understated, profits of for the year understated as well. Non-current assets overstated, profit overstated. Non-current assets are understated. मतलब non-current assets are overstated and the profit is also understated. Okay, now whether an item of a revenue expenditure has been incorrectly treated as capital expenditure. Revenue item being recorded as a revenue incorrect treated. अच्छा ठीक है. Now if I say revenue expenditure मतलब an expense is treated as a balance sheet item which is an asset. ठीक है. Now the problem is the profit would be more because the expense is less, so profit would be more. It is overstated. These two are correct and these two are wrong. And my asset would be more, है ना? Because obviously my asset is more because I wrote an expense as an asset. This is also overstated and this is also overstated, है ना? Compensation paid to the workers under voluntary retirement scheme. What do you mean by the term VRS? Everyone? Voluntary retirement scheme is basically when the particular person says ki, I would like to take a leave from the organization prior to the finishing of my job profile. And people does this and that's fine. Even there are people who are not able to do their job properly after a certain period of time and they decide ki nahi, I would like to leave the particular job right away. So when we face this kind of issue, compensation paid to the workers under voluntary retirement scheme is capital expenditure. Then we have this particular portion of revenue expenditure, capital receipt or revenue receipt. What's going to be the answer, everyone? Everybody, any ideas? What's going to be the answer? Compensation paid to the workers. You are paying it to the workers and they are leaving the organization before time. But retirement schemes and all is a part of normal things. This doesn't happen on a very special basis. But yeah, this is not a recurring expense too. Okay, this doesn't happen that way, but this doesn't really increase the this doesn't really increase the earning capacity of the organization at all. That's also correct. Preference shares of a company acquired shortly before their specific redemption date are covered under preference shares of the company acquired shortly before their specific redemption. मतलब we acquired them and we are just going to redeem them. Ultimately, we have bought them to sell them, isn't it? If you bought something to ultimately sell that thing, that means you are not trying to hold it for a longer period. And if you're not trying to hold something for a longer period, then treat that specific thing as operating activity, investing, financing, or cash and cash equivalent. Everyone, it is just meant for trading with me. I was thinking to trade it further. So for me, it has no other purpose than trading. है ना? So in this case, can I say that this is not a part of operating activity because this is not my business activity? Then investing activity because this is not a part of my investments. And this is not even a part of financing activity. है ना? Done? So what's going to be the answer ultimately? The answer is cash and cash equivalents. Because we have just bought these preference shares before redemption. Matlab these would be converted into cash at any point of time. There's not much time left. Isn't it? In the capital budgeting, the term capital rationing implies that no retained earnings are available, that limited funds are available for investment, that no external funds can be raised, that no fresh investment is required in the current year. Everyone? What's going to be the answer? Capital budgeting, the term capital rationing. Capital rationing doesn't mean the same as capital, but in terms of capital budgeting, it's one of the decisions. That means if I have a specific amount of money, what should I do with the money altogether? ठीक है ना? What am I going to do with the money altogether? What do we call this? मतलब if I have got 10 lakhs, how do I allocate this 10 lakhs among my different projects so that I can get the maximum benefit out of it? That is what they call capital rationing. Done, everyone? So in this case, there is that no retained earnings are available. The retained earnings are available. This is not a part of it. The limited funds are available. The answer would be B. The answer would be B. Okay. Okay. The answer is that limited funds are available. We have just 10 lakhs and we have 2, 3 or 4 projects in which we have to allocate it. Annual cost saving is of 4 lakh. Useful life is 4 years. Cost of the project is 11 lakh 42,000. The payback period would be. What's going to be the answer? Annual cost saving is of 4 lakh. Matlab normally we are saving 4 lakh rupees every year, and the entire cost of the project is 11 lakh 42,000. In terms of payback period, you take initial investment by annual cash inflows. So if we have to take 11 lakh 42,000 divided by 4 lakh. So utilize this particular point, everyone, and find the answer. The answer is 11 lakh 42,000 divided by 4 lakh, giving us an amount of 2 years and 11 months. 2.855, where we say 2 years plus 0.855 multiplied by 12. This will give you 11 months. So we have 2 years and 11 months. Done. The price at which we can enter into a contract today or to buy or sell a currency 30 days from now is called a reciprocal exchange rate, effective exchange rate option, or forward exchange rate. What's going to be the answer, everyone? A contract which is having 30 days. वैसे तो normally ना up to 3 days it is a part of spot. T plus 2 है ना, तो मतलब transaction day plus 3 days it is a part of spot. Beyond that we are having a forward exchange rate. अच्छा पता है there are two things, forward versus futures. What's the difference between futures and forwards, everyone? Under a forward contract you are doing it with someone over the counter. Matlab you know the person is sitting with you and doing the particular transaction with you itself. When we talk about futures, this is basically done through a regulatory body. The regulatory body makes sure that the asset is being bought and sold without any hustle bustle. There is no fraud involved in it. ठीक है? Done? Everybody all sorted? So let's move on and talk about the next question. The next question is, Acha, this is the inventory method that will always produce the same amount of cost of goods sold in the periodic inventory system. In a perpetual inventory system would be FIFO, first in first out, LIFO, last in first out, weighted average, as well as none of the above. What's going to be the answer? FIFO is first in first out, LIFO is last in first out, weighted average, and none of the above. The correct answer is FIFO. Whatever comes first goes out first. In this case, your amount, the inventory will at least have a stability. ठीक है? Done, everybody? Now, this means if I bought a good just now, then probably in a specific period of time, then whatever I bought first will be sold first. Whatever I bought later, that would be taken later. ठीक है? Now, let's move on to the next question. As per AS2, AS2 is inventories, valuation of inventories actually. The historical cost of the inventories should be normally determined by. Normally, though, there are more than 10 methods in terms of inventory valuation, but one of the most common ones, which are normally told, is FIFO, first in, first out, LIFO, last in, first out, then simple average, and weighted average. ऐसा नहीं है, there are more as well. HIFO is also one of there, that is highest and first out. And there are many of these different methods. This is just one particular separate method I'm telling you, other than what we are doing in our books itself. FIFO and weighted average, LIFO is the one which is never used. They are always saying that FIFO and weighted average is a better option than any other methods, because LIFO sometimes gives the wrong amount, and simple average is just taking average. It is not taking something which is more important considering. Since it doesn't consider the weighted average part, so it becomes a little troublesome. Done, everyone? So that's it. Okay. Negative net working capital. Acha, what's the full form of net working capital, everyone? Matlab, what is the acronym? What do you mean by the term net working capital? Working capital matlab? Net working capital is equal to CA minus CL. Current assets minus current liabilities. And if this is negative, matlab my CL is greater than my CA. है ना? My current liabilities are more than my current assets, which is again not good for the organization. So this will call me that the long-term funds, there are no points regarding long-term funds in the net working capital. Working capital is for short-term. So in this case, the correct answer should be short-term funds used, for the current assets, or short-term funds to be used for the fixed assets. The point is related only to one thing. That is for the blockage of money. For the blockage of money, the point is short-term funds being used for fixed assets. When you use your funds which are specifically kept for short-term period for this purpose, then there becomes a trouble, which is not good for the organization. So short-term funds have been used for fixed assets is the overusing of the funds, which we are considering here. And what is the nature of the suspense account, everyone? Debit or credit balance, credit balance, or none of the above. Suspense account is an account which we create because of mismatch of trial balance. So there is no specific point where the balance can be shown. So this the point is, the answer is debit or the credit balance. Hello everyone, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I am with you with the area of AFM. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today, everyone? Today I'll be talking about the practice questions, another set of mixed questions. Before I proceed forward, please share this session among your peers and don't forget to like it as well. And at the same time, since we are covering up this series, we are coming up with something special. But why should I tell you right now? Let's wait. We'll be revealing it together. Matlab, the entire team would be revealing it together, not today, but tomorrow. But for that, you have to be there at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow on our YouTube channel, Offices are 24/7. So stay tuned. We're coming up something really interesting for you, and that would be beneficial for you as well. So till then, with this particular point, let's begin with our session. Along with this, don't forget to like it. So let's begin it, everyone. Uh, Here comes the first question today. That is, which one of the following is not considered to be subsidiary books in the banks? Current account ledger, general ledger, loan ledger, and then is bill discounted and purchase ledger. This is not a subsidiary book. Matlab, this is one of the main books to be kept. So which book is it? The correct answer is general ledger. ठीक है? The correct answer is general ledger. Rebate on bills discounted refers to concessional rate of discount for priority sector, rebate provided to priority customers of the bank, unexpired discount, or none of the above. But the rebate on bill discounted is basically when we are going for the bill, okay, and the one who is supposed to pay, he pays the amount before time. So this is basically a discount that we are giving. It's actually called unexpired discount. Matlab, if I am supposed to pay you on 10th and I pay you before 10th, then in this case, since I'm making the payment before the date, then I have the advantage to have a word with you and reduce my tax liabilities as well. Matlab, my total liability. How do I tell you? I was supposed to pay you 10,000 on, say, 31st of March. But I said, nahi, let's make the payment on 29th of February only. Okay, I made it on 29th of February, 1 month advance. So the interest for 1 month would be deducted and that would be considered as a rebate from the bank. Okay, that is called rebate. Acha, what is the purpose of the cash flow statement in the final accounts, everyone? To show how cash and cash equivalents have changed over a period, to provide details about the customer deposits, to calculate the interest earned on loans, and to summarize the income and expenses. When we talk about the cash flow statement, now this is as per AS3 and Ind AS 7. When we talk about cash flow statement clearly states one thing. It states that, dekhiye, whatever cash inflow you're making, whatever cash outflow it's going, be it cash inflow or cash outflow, you have to record the cash inflows and outflows accordingly. So in this case, their clear-cut point is when we talk about the inflow and outflow of cash, only those things are recorded, and the cash and cash equivalents if they are changing, right? So in this case, rest everything is not considered. So in this case, the correct answer is A only, to show how cash and cash equivalents have changed over a period. Matlab, in the beginning, if my opening cash and cash equivalents were of rupees 10 lakh in total, that includes cash, bank balance, and marketable securities. And in the closing, cash and cash equivalents turned out to be 15 lakh 25,000. There is an increase of 5 lakh 25,000. So I'll try to find out why is this increase there. It can be because of operating activities. It can be because of investing. It can be because of financing. Operating, investing, or financing. Any of these things can happen. Acha. Then we have DSCR ratio. This is one of the ratios which is definitely, I'd seen in the PNB promotion examination so many times now. This is one of their favorite questions. Debt service coverage ratio. This is used for which of the following? Okay, let me tell you about debt service coverage ratio. If I take a loan, I should be able to pay it back. You know, I should prove it to you that I have the ability to pay the amount back. Don't worry. If you give me a loan, if you provide me a loan, then I can pay you back. The banker will ask me that, Acha, ma'am, you really believe that? मैं कहा, हाँ जी. Then show us our books of accounts. Show us that you are earning an amount where your profits can not only cover our money, the debt you have taken from us, but other debts as well. So any compulsory payment that I have to make, I have to divide it by that. And I should be able to clear it up. Judging the margin of safety available before there is a default in repaying the loan, judging the whether the firm has borrowings disproportionate to its net worth, then judging the capacity of the firm to service the interest on debt or all of the above. Uh, all these coverage ratios are na very judgmental ratios. You are judging the person ki pata hai whether that this particular person who's standing in front of me has the capacity to pay me back or not. Very rude and harsh words to say, but banks have to do this because if you're giving loan to someone and it turns out to be an NPA, that's the worst nightmare of any bank, and especially the bank managers who are taking care of that particular branch. So the best thing is to find out, and there's no harm. If the person proves out that he can pay it back, then give the entire loan to them. Otherwise, it's time to say no to the particular person because of ineligibility. So in this case, the correct answer is judging the margin of safety available before there is a default in the repayment of loan. Where is the particular surety? Without that surety, how can I give loans to someone? है ना? Okay, goes to the next point. Which one of the following statements is correct about fixed asset ratio? It is the ratio of fixed assets and net worth. It is fixed assets and long-term funds. A ratio of less than 1 indicates that a short-term resource have been diverted for a creation of fixed assets, or none of the above is correct. What's the answer, everyone? Fixed assets ratio is basically related to the area of the fixed assets in the entire organization and whether we are using them properly or not. Right? So this is the ratio of the fixed assets to the long-term funds. In this case, we are actually trying to find whether the fixed assets we are using properly or not. Which of the following is not a transaction? Goods are purchased on the cash basis of rupees 1000. Salary is paid for the month of May 2010. Land is purchased for rupees 10 lakh and employee dismissed from the job. When we talked about the transactions, our transactions are individual. Matlab, this happened, that happened. Or this transaction is in monetary terms and it belongs to the business. Not any random transactions are involved. Okay? So in this case, first is monetary term, this is also monetary term, this is also monetary term. But an employee dismissed from the job is not a monetary term. Right? So in this case, the correct answer is an employee dismissed from the job. Following statements are objectives of accounting except providing information about the assets, liabilities, and capital of the business entity, maintaining the records of the business, providing information about the performance of business entity, and providing details about the personal assets and liabilities of the owner. Objectives of accounting includes providing information. Ultimately, you provide the information of your job profile and then maintaining the records of the business. You have to maintain the records of the business and providing the information about the performance of the business. It is indeed true, but this is not to the owner. Acha, this is the same question we did yesterday as well. Apologies. This is the same question. See, my personal records are not going to be recorded. Na? What will you do with my personal records? But business records are more important and that is supposed to be recorded. Isn't it? Next point. The purchaser's journal records all purchases of goods dealt by in the firm, credit purchases of the goods dealt in by the firm, or cash purchases of the goods dealt in by the firm. Purchase journal. There are different types of subsidiary books, and overall there are 8 type of subsidies. Cash book. Acha, let's write it down now. Subsidies. We call it subsidiary books. First is cash book, which records only the movement of cash. Then we have purchase day book, which records only the credit purchase because cash purchases are under cash book. Then we have sales book or sales day book. Okay, everyone. So we have cash book, purchase day book, sales day book. Then we have purchase return. Then we have sales return. Purchase return, sales return. Then we have bills receivable. Then we have bills payable. Apologies for the elevation in the particular area. And then we have bills payable. And the last one is miscellaneous. I hope these are visible clearly and you can have a look at it. Done, everyone? In this case, the answer is credit purchases of the goods dealt by in the firm. In this case, they are talking about the goods now. So you can see these are all the different types of books. Bill receivable, bill payable are a part of it. Then we have the purchase return and purchase. Matlab purchase day book is basically if I purchase the goods on credit and if I don't like those specific goods and I would like to return it back, it becomes purchase return, or it is also called return outwards. If someone purchased something from me and they didn't like it, then it will turn into a sales return. है ना? So these are what we call the subsidiary books. They're called subsidies. The answer is credit purchases of the goods dealt in by the firm. Then is dash principle requires that the same accounting method should be used from one accounting period to the next. Conservatism, consistency, business entity, or money measurement. When we talk about the principle which says same accounting, it doesn't mean that we cannot change it. Always remember, everyone, accounting never said that you have to use only one specific type of method and you are not allowed to use others. You are allowed to use any kind of method as you please. It depends upon the justification. If I ask you, Hanji, why this method, you should be able to answer that, ma'am, the reason behind using this method is rationality. Because of this particular method's advantages, and we are also considering the disadvantages, this method is the best one. That's a clarity. Is it conservatism, consistency, business or money measurement? In this case, it's going to be only one thing, that is consistency. It's fine if we make a change and then we can look forward towards those changes in the best possible way. So that's the answer. The answer is consistency. Next point, reserve share capital means part of authorized capital to be called in the beginning, portion of the uncalled capital to be called only at liquidation, oversubscribed capital or undersubscribed capital. Reserve capital is that part of capital which we are not asking the people to pay right away. We want to wait when the company is dying and we are unable to pay the amounts. Then to make the payments at that point of time, we'll be using it. That is called portion of uncalled capital to be called only at liquidation. When the company is dying, only and only then we seek the amount. Portion of the uncalled capital to be called for liquidation. The right shares are of the firm are issued to the direction of the company, are issued to the existing shareholders of the company, are issued to the promoters in consideration of their services, or are issued to the vendor for purchasing assets. Right shares, matlab this is basically na, you are giving shares to the current shareholders, and this is a benefit that we are providing. Ki, do you want to buy the shares of our company at a lower price? Since you are an old shareholder, we do not want that when we issue new shares, then you lose your share. That means you have a major shareholding. Matlab, the share here doesn't mean the actual share in units. It is basically related to the area of your percentage in the organization. Matlab, currently you are at 10%. As soon as we issue more shares and when the new total will come up, your value declines. So they are telling the people who are already a part of the organization ki dekhiye, if we will do this now, then you will lose your shareholding in terms of the percentage in the total. If you want, you can purchase more, and that too we are providing you at lower price than others. Will it be fine with you if he says, cool, I would love to buy the shares of the company, then we will give them the shares. Okay. So in this case, that would be what these are issued to the promoters in consideration to their services. No, promoters are not given this. That's a different story altogether. Then they are called promoter shareholders, promoter shares. They are specifically kept for the people who made the company. These are issued on the direction of the company. Everything is at the direction of the company. That doesn't make sense. It is not very different or unique. Are issued to existing shareholders of the company? Yes, it is done to existing because so that they can get more shares, and that too at a lower price. So in this case, the correct answer is they are issued to the existing shareholders of the company. Ind AS is aligned for with which international accounting standards? IFRS, Indian Financial Reporting Standards, International Financial Reporting Standards, or International Accounting Standards, IAS, or Indian Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or we call it GAAP. वैसे GAAP is normally used in USA. So that's not the one. We are connecting with IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. Now we study IFRS as well, and we are whatever we study in terms of Ind AS, it exists because of IFRS. Okay? Done everyone? Any doubts still here? If there are, then please let me know, and you can also share your details on the YouTube channel in the comment section only. Yeah? I'll be there with you, so we can talk about this. Done everyone? Chaliye. Then let's end the session here itself. But before I end my session, I hope this session was useful for you. But before the class ends, everyone, I hope you have reviewed our classes already and you are all updated about it. Before I end the session, let me show you our website. You can see, if you go onto the Microsoft Edge, you will find, which I'm sorry, in this case, you can find Adda 24/7 there. Once you open up the Adda 24/7, then what will you find? You will find JIB and CIB. Go on to the area of JIB and CIB. Once you go on to this area, this is the banking, this is JIB and CIB. This is our JIB May 2024. Look at this. We are at Victory JIB May 2024 batch. IE and IFS, PPB, AFM, RBWM, all of these together. And it is right now showing 75%. Use the code Y541 and you will get it for, you will, if you apply Y541, you will get it for 4599.77. Rather less than this if you also download the app and utilize the coins there. So this, all 4 subjects will cost you a total of 4600 and less than that if you are pursuing through the code Y541. So go ahead and check it out on our website, on our app for further details. But to download the app first, because I believe that would be more helpful. So now we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time. Thank you so much for being there, everyone. Bye bye.